What's up guys, it's your host Spartanic Arts DxD back with another high school DxD related video. And today we have What If Issei Was Overpowered Part 4. The Undeniable. Let's try to hit 500 to 600 likes this time, please and thank you, that would be absolutely amazing. And if you guys want to know exactly when I upload, such my upload schedule, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button. Before we get into the video, thank you so much to my balance breakers, Rob the King, Lachlan Yates, Atomic Warlord 58, Crumbling Darkness Fear, Madly Wolf 333, Aunt Lewis, The Beast YT3, Shade Fox, VR Wolf hashtag 2347, Sinmar Q, Jordan Patchow, Mazaku, Dr_MLG_ is the bomb, Asimodus, Grim Fireshot Gamer, Brandon Lieutenant Riley, and Jonah Levinston. Thank you so much for becoming a balance breaker. If you guys want to see other what ifs on Goku and many more, I uploaded videos on there very recently, like literally like today I think, or like 2 days ago. So thank you so much for the support, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the video. Chapter 10, Humanoid Destruction. Boost! Already surpassing most beings in Satan class, Issei immediately landed a powerful bone-crushing punch straight into the woman's gut, sending her flying through hundreds of buildings, busting through the city straight into the forest besides the city. Shit! That was unexpected, Surzex says. Stopping herself, Surzex immediately was met with a powerful uppercut from Issei, shooting her high into the sky. While being dazed, Issei disappeared until he was perpendicularly to Surzex, reaching both his hands into the sky, combining them to form a powerful sledgehammer blow. In an instant, the screams of the woman could be the only thing that the city could hear. Surzex was met with a powerful blow to her back, crashing her straight into the ground. Issei was staring down onto the spot where Surzex had landed. In an instant, a powerful of destruction wave collided with him with such ferocity Issei was shot flying into the ground. Yeah, that damn dragon was telling the truth, Surzex said. Surzex quickly rushed straight at Issei, colliding fists with the massive draconic arm. Both beasts were staring into each other's eyes, however taking advantage of the Juggernaut drive or whatever mutation that Issei was going through, basically forcing the host into such a depressive and angered state. Surzex, finally taking the battle more seriously, backed down to see what Issei would do. Obviously, Issei went with a sharp right hook, wanting to land a vital blow to end the battle. Surzex ducked and landed her own powerful uppercut, which easily destroyed some parts of Issei's armor, revealing some dragon skin. Watching as Issei quickly recovered, Surzex quickly landed a critical roundhouse back kick filled with destructive energy onto Issei's side, shooting Issei straight into the hillside beyond the forest area, crashing onto the ground, creating a massive indentation line, skidding across the ground until colliding with the largest hill, which was in the middle of the land. Issei's armor was quickly regenerating with the rage and frustration he was further gaining within the battle. With twice the speed, Issei rapidly closed the gap between him and Surzex, appearing in front of him, and Surzex quickly forming a quick dragon shot. Surzex had been prepared, combusting a sphere of destruction to create a smokescreen that was able to freeze Issei. Surzex, with even more energy than before, landed a devastating blow into the gut of Issei once more. Instead of letting the blow send him flying, she appeared right behind Issei and landed a devastating kick onto his back. Boost! ×3. However, Issei had stopped himself thanks to his quick boost. His anger and frustration once more had forced a quick burst of boost, which raised his power significantly. Turning around, with great speeds, caught Surzex's legs and slammed her onto the ground with such force. Shit, he's gaining power too quickly, Surzex says. Instantaneously, Issei slammed his huge body straight into Surzex's body, destroying the ground while sending Surzex flying straight into the deeper part of Earth's crust. Flying into the air, Issei decided to do the best thing. Boost ×10. Maximum transfer. Pulling out massive cannon, different from Juggernaut drive form, this cannon was as large as its Issei himself. The maximum boost, which he could do, transferred all of this into his cannon, forming the most powerful beam that a Red Dragon Emperor could even do. This was the most power of the Red Dragon Emperor, once finally losing his mind and losing his will. Only the likes of that evil dragon could match. Heavenly tears rupture the skies. A massive black beam purely made of absolute hatred, sadness, destruction, chaos, and the emotions of a broken dragon was released onto the current Lucifer. Gradually, once the beam landed impact onto the surface, the largest explosion occurred since the Devil's Civil War, an explosion that destroyed all the surface around, disintegrating whatever was in its path. The ground in front of him, the dirt and sand, was beginning to melt from the extreme heat, turning into glass and liquid. Issei released a massive roar, which shook the entire area, even shaking the cities near the area. Nothing was left. Destruction could be only described after the beam landed. Issei began coughing blood. There wasn't much time before he would die a horrible death. Boost times 50! A massive tremor was felt across the land. Even Issei's attention was brought back to the space in which he destroyed Lucifer. Something was coming out. Issei roared while staring at the location. Issei quickly forced his body unconsciously to boost many times. His dragon instincts were screaming for him to watch out. Out of the hole came out a being filled with a body filled with power of destruction. The power being emitted from this was beginning to shake all the realms. This was one of the strongest beings, one of the very few beings that had reached the realms of the strongest gods. This was the strongest devil in existence, Serzek's Lucifer in her humanoid destruction form. Issei quickly rushed at the woman, with his fist coated with all the energy that he gathered. Issei, forgive me what I am about to do, Serzek says. Once Issei appeared in front of Serzek, he tried to land the strongest blow he could. You were a friend to the end. I will never forget you, Serzek says. Small tears began to form on the side of Serzek's eyes. She quickly landed a punch of her own. She stopped holding back and absolutely blew away Issei into seemingly nothingness. Tears were finally escaping her eyes. Thinking about what she had done, she needed to do it. Reverting to her normal form, Serzek watches the dust that she formed stop, revealing something astonishing. Issei, Serzek said. There was a body burned and destroyed on the ground. Fear finally began to crawl up to Serzek when seeing one of her closest friends. She didn't want to see the state of her pawn, but she needed to fight through the fear. Approaching the body, she began to hear, "Thank you, Lucifer, for this. My partner is alive, but he won't be without the help of my any medications. He needs help," Drake says. That was when she saw Issei's body. Issei, Serzek said. Serzek began to release even more tears when seeing Issei's state. Issei's body was reduced to such a state. How is he alive? What a miracle! Grafia, Serzek says. Serzek screamed of pure anger through a magic circle, startling the woman on the other side from a sudden burst. Get some phoenix tears and some other medication, Serzek says. Why? Grafia replied. Just do it! Grafia instantly complied with the order. Drake, if it isn't too much to ask, what happened to put Issei in such a state? The dragon was hesitant to say the reason. He kind of wanted his partner to say it, but the chances of his partner surviving was becoming smaller by the second. If he dies and the person who made him suffer got out scotch-free, then Drake will find a way to leave the sacred gear and will annihilate the fallen faction himself. Let's get into the beginning. There was once a woman named Yuma Amano, the same woman that killed Issei Hyodo, which resulted in him entering your barrage, Drake said. Serzek nodded. She understood that much, even if her anger was beginning to become unstable, or her sister when this was happening. My partner entered his house today and saw the two most important and most supporting people dead in front of him in brutal ways, Drake said. Serzek quickly processed what he meant and widened her eyes upon hearing the news. Don't tell me that... They were his parents, and they were killed by the same bitch that killed him originally, Drake said. Drake stated that with such disgust and venom that it would have shaken Serzek if not for her own outburst, and she left the area with... Yes, Serzek says, that damn woman had basically killed her pawn, her friend, and wanted to leave without any consequences. Serzek clenched her fist with anger. That was another person she held dear to her and was going to die because of her poor ability as a king. Leader, Serzek, with such anger, entered her humanoid destruction state. This time, she was expelling even more energy and pressing Drake to the highest degree. Damn that women, Serzek says. Serzek calmed down, knowing the revenge will be given to Issei. Kneeling and lifting the poor boy, Serzek quickly sensed her queen appearing. I have brought what you needed, Grafia said. Grafia was stunned at the seeing was in front of her. Serzek's Lucifer was sobbing while holding onto the corpse of a man. Without saying anything, she quickly helped Serzek in trying the best in healing the boy to at least stable state. The damage had already been done, and there was nothing that they could do. And that is the end of Chapter 10, Humanoid Destruction. Chapter 11, Aftermath. That damn fallen angel, Serzek says. Serzek couldn't stop sobbing upon seeing the horrible state of the man in front of her. Blood was still oozing down the body, even after he injects the medications that they gave him. The phoenix tears were able to make sure that Issei wouldn't die, but they didn't help the damage that had been done to the boy internally. Serzek couldn't look at the boy body anymore. She walked outside of the room and saw Grafia, her queen, waiting for her. She approached the sobbing king with sympathy. Even she didn't know what the man was to the current Lucifer. Serzek, my king, who was that man? Grafia replied. Serzek slowly looked up and decided this was the best time to tell Grafia the truth. Serzek calmed herself and began speaking. That man, he was one of my closest friends, rivaling you as my best friend. He was my pawn, someone fun to hang around with, Serzek says. Wait, so that person was able to force you into a humanoid destruction state? The form in which you become the very embodiment of destruction, Rias says. I could have handled him in my normal state, but hearing the screams and his power increasing, I wanted to end the battle to save him. Turned out, my power was a bit too much, Serzex says. Serzex mercilessly chuckled, before sitting down next to the door, which showed Issei being injected with even more needles. Time skip. An entire week had passed with many healing spells and Phoenix Tears were being used on Issei. After so many fateful attempts, he had finally recovered to his best condition. Besides the many years of losing his lifespan, however, he was still going to be in a coma state to regain the blood that was lost. Drake, I have some serious questions, Serzex replied. Drake the dragon had been sleeping for the time being, had woken up upon hearing the words spoken in a low-toned voice. What do you want, Lucifer? Drake says. When Issei was beginning to state the chant, was there a reason why you didn't stop him? Many think that we, the heavenly dragons, can stop the Juggernaut drive. However, we can't intervene with the curse that manipulates the user's emotions, forcing them into such a state. The user blocks our calls and only focuses on the desire that they want, whether it be suicide, anger, or in this case, revenge, Drake says. Serzex understood what the dragon was saying. She should have known the dragon was going to say that. I'll deal with the other details later. Is there anything that I should be wary about Issei's condition? Serzex says. Well, the Juggernaut drive state is stated to be basically a noose, Drake says. Upon hearing those words, Serzex's uncomfortable feeling began to overtake her. A bad suspicion was beginning to creep up the spine, traveling up to her body, sending chills down her bones. Hosts aren't supposed to survive that state due to the burden and the curse that it brings. However, Issei has been the first host that has survived the Juggernaut drive. Even worse is that it was in a mutational form of Juggernaut drive, something that I don't even know nor want to know. But in doing so, he was basically on the brink of death. He only had barely any life force left, but with some form of my own energy and partial bit of my life force out of nearly immortal life, I was able to at least recover a decent amount back. Serzex sighed with some relief. His organs, however, were basically non-functioning. I needed to replace them with a dragon part of my partner to ever see the light of a day again. Taking advantage of the Phoenix Tears, I was able to do it successfully. But Issei's mind was so set on revenge, Drake says. Drake paused, which raised suspicion with Serzex until he finally gained the courage to say what he wanted. His negative emotions had finally changed his body. Since a dragon relies on the emotions for battle, the emotions can furthermore change the dragon, Drake said, stopping himself and letting the suspense of the force Serzex to nearly want to strangle the gauntlet. Drake had sorrowfully spoke the final thing he wanted to say. You'll see soon enough. Serzex, as my honor as a dragon, please help my host. He needs comfort, especially when he has no one in his life anymore to support him, besides you and me, Drake says. Serzex was astonished to the highest degree. Hearing those words, she had finally realized that Drake had stated that Issei was now alone. She had finally failed him as a king and a friend once. She won't do it again. She will be there for Issei, especially when he was in the worst state that a person can be. With that, the ancient dragon had finally fallen asleep once more, even if he didn't want to say it. This was definitely the most entertaining host, because Issei was just an insult bank for him. Azazel and I are going to have a special talk, Serzex says. Time skip. Another week has passed and Serzex had entered the room holding Issei. The time has come, Drake says. Hearing those words, Serzex looked at the body with confusion. Serzex Lucifer, Drake says. An explosion of negative energy engulfed the entire room. Pushing back all the equipment, the burst of energy began to put fear in all those inside the building. Besides Serzex and Drake, Grafia had left. She took the duties of Serzex for the moment. Powerful blackish energy began to hover around Issei Hyodo's body until it began seeping into him. Changing his physical appearance drastically, his eyes began to change, his teeth began to sharpen, his power began to become far more sinister. Your pawn, Drake says. Slowly the energy began calming down until it became one with him. His power changed from this pathetic state before turning into Juggernaut Drive, the mid-class power which he had, to his far more powerful muscular form, around high class and base. The dragon parts had transformed beforehand, but with help of Dragon, Serzex and Issei had another drastic improvement physically, but a step backward mentally. Has become an evil dragon, Drake says. With a sudden roar, the entire building began shaking from the overwhelming negative energy. Issei had finally awakened from the 2-week coma. Issei? Serzex said. Serzex? Issei replied. Scene change. A man with the appearance of a tall, handsome man wearing a black coat with long mixture of black and blonde hair, as well as the heteromatic eyes. Where his right eye is gold and his left eye is black and has pointed ears. That energy signature, Crom said. The evil dragon sensed the birth of another evil dragon. Smiling grimly, a potential future opponent could never hurt. It's good to see an evil dragon race gain another member. Let's see if this one could eventually put up a fight with me in the future. The strongest dragon, only second to the dragon gods, Crom said. The man continued to train, lifting mountains and throwing them as if they were nothing but paper. This man was Cromcrunch, the strongest evil dragon as well as the strongest dragon, except the dragon gods. This might be important information to Rizavim. Maybe we can gain another ally, Crom said. Crom stopped training and thought about returning to the Chaos Brigade. This was going to be an interesting developing for him. Scene change. The birth of a new evil dragon, Issei Hyodo. Welcome back to the realm of the living, Drake says. And that is the end of Chapter 11, Aftermath. Chapter 12. Issei, Serzek says. Issei stared at the woman with a neutral expression. In reality, he was relieved in seeing the woman in front of him, but that feeling quickly was replaced with grief when remembering his parents' death. However, while not paying attention, Issei felt two hands wrapping around his body while forcing him into being pushed by some squishy pillows. Hello, Serzex, Issei said, speaking in monotone. Serzex was drastically astonished at the change in voice comparing Issei's voice from before, composing herself and beginning to speak. Drake could tell that his partner wasn't the evil dragon that was openly crazy. He knew that his partner was similar to Cromcrunch, that juggernaut drive of an evil dragon. He was containing himself until the circumstances was right in which he could show his truest colors. Drake didn't want to say it to Serzek, since the woman was already worried about his partner's current condition. Adding the future condition would drastically add more pressure on Serzek. The old dragon would now just be the guide to the newest member of the race of the dragons. Don't ever do that again. I know that you're angry, no, livid with the fallen angels. Just remember that suicide isn't the answer. If you want to kill them, you must live, Serzek says. Issei's eyes are trying their best to avert himself from seeing the devilish tits, but his older personality, the one that he tried to contain behind his head, specifically the perverted personality, was finally acting up. He was beginning to blush heavily and thinking about the potential fantasies with Serzek. Issei Hyodo, this won't be enough to compensate for my failure as a king, but I just want to be there for you now. Starting from today, you'll be living in my quarters while going to school and coming back directly to my house, Serzek says. Issei Hyodo began to feel tears touching him. Backing away and seeing Lucifer beginning to tear up, he was quite shocked at seeing the most powerful woman, no, the most powerful person, beginning to tear up for some degree from degenerate like him. Hugging the woman back, Issei began speaking with rougher and darker tone. It wasn't your fault. I should have killed the fallen angel sooner than later. It resulted in my parents dying, Issei says. No, I could have killed them, but I instead gave all my time in supporting your training. I could have easily eradicated those fools, but my worry about you not being ready for the supernatural world had resulted in such a mistake to happen, Serzek says. Issei tightened his hug, reassuring Serzek that it wasn't her fault. Zex, it wasn't your fault. The Fallen were going to kill my parents one way or another, Issei said. While being calm on the outside, Serzek could tell that Issei was holding his boiling rage and anger towards the Fallen inside himself. A single button would cause an explosion of pure negative energy. However, she didn't know that Issei didn't want a normal revenge on the Fallen. How about we both go out and eat some best food that the underworld has, Serzek says. Issei simply nodded, in which caused Serzek to quickly throw him into the air and catch his bridal style. Smirking at Issei's surprise and slightly embarrassed expression, she formed a magic circle and left the area. Scene change. Akano. Make sure to check if Issei Hyodo is in the area by any chance, Rias says. Rias Grimmer was sitting beside her desk while looking through some papers of important information about her territory. She was investigating anything of which can be important to her about the fallen angels. Akano was seen beside Rias, waiting for some action. Rias, I don't think Issei would be in the area anymore after seeing the fallen angel, which he was dating, and the massive energy spike within the same boundary that he was in. It's easy to assume that he has been taken away by someone. Rias nodded to Akano's assumption. She had finally thought of that idea beforehand, but still wanted to make sure due to the chances of Issei still being alive but hiding in the area. That may be true, but taking any chance to make sure that the rogue fallen angel's plan would fail is the best route. We can't allow them to win the territory over, or else my sister would need to annihilate the faction itself when entering the war, Rias says. I suggest working with Sona on this one. Her intellectual abilities combined with your power would make a deadly combo, Akano says. I have already requested that with Sona. She will be working with him soon, once he finishes her grading and declining most of her admissions to coming into school, to be specific, Rias says. I see, Akano replies. Before her queen could finish her thought, Rias had already interrupted with additional information about her plan, with Sona and her Parage helping them. I have already told Kiba and Konako to work together when traveling around the town and such potential hints towards the Fallens. Knowing Kiba's weakness is covered by Konako and vice versa. This duo would make a deadly combo. Sona wanted to add her queen into the mix to make sure that both of them would be protected from potential magic attacks. What should I do to support you all? Akeno says. The both of us with Sona should stay alert. If Sona and I were to be fatally wounded, then that would be detrimental to all of us. There's a reason why we are called kings, Akeno. I am trusting that you'll be able to protect and defend us from potential threats, and we'll do the same back. We'll have to work as a team because I have a feeling the Fallens will be back with some more units. Scene change. Rainier was seen devastated after the news of her removal from the Fallen Angels faction. She had returned to the place in which Azazel and his subordinates stayed and worked. Telling the tale of what she did, Azazel, who was fortunately there, saw straight through the parts of the lies in which Rainier stated. With many centuries of living, he was able to manipulate the words of which he was able to make Rainier accidentally say what she actually done. To say Azazel was livid was an understatement. Azazel had destroyed whatever chance of which Rainier was going to get off being recognized her higher-uppers. She was able to escape before the fallen angels inside of the Grigars could massacre them. Damn it all, Rainier says. It was because of you, Kala Warner replied. Kala Warner was livid. She was extremely pissed at Rainier for dragging her into such a plan. However, Millet was able to enter the argument and calm both down. We are all responsible. Rainier may have dragged us into such a mess, but we accepted to play along. We all must try to live through the circumstances placed upon us, Millet says. Rainier and Kala Warner were going to say something back, but they knew she was right. Donasik was staying silent during the entire thing until they began sensing another energy signature. Well, what do we have here? Kokaville says. Lord Kokaville, Rainier replied. Rainier and her friends had gotten on guard. Since the road catcher that they had heard rumors, even before leaving the mission that Rainier was given about the departure of Kokaville. Now what's the point in trying to fight me? We're all the same. We're rogues, Kokaville said. Rainier and her friends didn't want to admit it, but the old catchphrase was telling the truth. What do you even want? Rainier said. I am pretty sure you already know. I want you three to join me in getting revenge on the factions, Kokaville says. Age must have really been affecting your thinking process for you to think that I would actually join you, Rainier says. Why not? You have been pushed away like nothing by Azazel for many years, and he even banished you for doing something that would make our faction better. Azazel had given you nothing but disrespect for everything you've done. Why side with him? Why not get revenge? Because we are still loyal, Kala Warner replied. Yet he didn't even know you existed until you entered his reference, Kokaville said. Each one of those sentences had hit all the fallen angels hard, making them feel terrible for what they have done. However, Rainier was beginning to think over what Kokaville was saying. She was always wanting to gain attention and appreciation from Azazel, pushing herself to the limit to impress her leader, but he never noticed nor wanted her. She was always cast away if she was nothing. Fury beginning to build with Rainier, Kokaville was saying the truth. She didn't have anything to do anymore because the man that she admired for so many years had just banished her for doing something that would have been significantly beneficial to their faction. She looked at Kokaville with determination in her eyes. I guess I don't have a choice anymore. I'll join you, Rainier says. Rainier, are you being serious? Kala Warner says. This has to be some kind of prank, Millet said. Look at it this way. We have done so much for them, yet we were banished, Rainier said. I wouldn't say that we did something good, more like something greedy. We killed 2 humans and stole a sacred gear, Donasik said. The man had stated while looking down upon the grounds. Kala Warner nodded with Millet at Donasik's words. Rainier didn't care anymore. She walked along with Kokaville while the fallen Katri smirked deviously. This was all going according to his plan. I'm guessing that you won't be joining. Well, that seems to be unfortunate. I'll come back, but we won't be on friendly terms anymore, Kokaville said. Kokaville began hysterically laughing before leaving. Rainier also began hesitantly leaving. Rainier, think thoroughly. The moment that you leave is the moment that you will make enemies out of all of us, Kala Warner said. Rainier sighed before leaving. Looks like we'll have to kill her next time, Millet said. We didn't need her anyway. We'll just work together, Donasik said. They all nodded before walking along the ground, flying giving them too much attention to them. Scene change. Sir Zex was forced into leaving to finish some paperwork. The amount of time that he was school was the amount of time Sir Zex was needed to finish her business in the underworld. Drake, how should I train today? Issei says. I suggest that you train your devil powers and dragon powers. Let's break this down. You're partial human, partial devil, the partial dragon. The human side had given you the sacred gear, the boosted gear. The devil side allows for you to use devil magic, allowing for the potential to gain super devil forms and Satan class titles. Hearing those words, with the help of Drake transferring some memory of the events of Issei going berserk, he was able to see the monstrous form of Sir Zex. The pure terrifying power which she displayed imagining with such a form, Issei was beginning to grin with another goal in his mind. Drake was able to sense the sudden jolt of determination from his partner, smirking slightly while beginning to grow slight respect for Issei Hyodo. But it gives you a weakness to any type of holy weapon or object. The dragon, more specifically, the evil dragon side of you has given you a darker and sinister mind. Darker and more sinister power while giving heightened pain tolerance while exponentially increasing your magic reserves. Currently, you're easily high class in terms of raw power with the boosted gear. I wonder how powerful you'll become with Balance Breaker, Drake says. So my devil magic reserves were drastically increased from the illusion of my dragon side allowing me to use both magic types, Issei says. Yes, but you both weaknesses to both races. Dragons may be powerful, but they are completely vulnerable to emotions and dragon-slaying weapons. You both have weaknesses. Anything holy, emotions, and dragon-slaying weapons, Drake says. So, the transformation had both pros and cons, Issei replied. I suggest following my training route when I was a hatchling. You will scream at the end of this training regimen, but trust me, partner, this is for the best. Drake, I have always trusted your judgment. When do we begin? Drake smiled with the feeling of happiness when hearing that. Smirking, the entertainment of the ancient dragon had only begun. Now, Drake says. Issei began doing what Drake continuously told him for his training regimen. However, Drake could easily tell that Issei's power was harshly influenced by his forceful change of becoming an evil dragon. His power was unstable. If circumstances were against him, then the darker side of his mind would begin to take control and... Drake didn't even want to imagine what would happen then. He had already seen what an evil dragon can do to his many years of living. Now imagining his partner acting in such a way sent shivers down his spine. The advantage of being an evil dragon was almost the immense pain tolerance, but that didn't affect the control of his emotions. And that is the end of chapter 12. And that is where we're going to stop for now, right at the end of chapter 12. Now, I'm sorry that this part was a little shorter than the others, but you guys have to understand that I recorded this all in one day. So you're not gonna hear this until what? Like next fucking Tuesday? But like, once again, thank you for all the support. Like I don't know if this series is gonna be doing well or not, but I'm gonna post these regardless just so I have something in the gate so that for when I leave to go take a little break, because oh my god, I'm tired. But like I'm extremely motivated, so don't worry. But yeah, once again, thank you for all the support. Like, I can't thank you enough. Like, it just explained like all these series. Just Issei the God Killer is Born will be out very soon. I might start titling the videos something different, meaning like what's happening in the actual story. So for this title, it might actually be Issei's parents dies and he goes like rage or something like that, or like something like it's just a cool little title. It'll take me a while to make up because I like making these things up and just doing things like that. I've started to create like images and just crazy shit like that to make all my content just look extremely good. So once again, I hope you guys are seeing what I'm trying to do here. This takes actually like a lot of effort, and like I'm only 40 seconds into that one video, and it's taking me about an hour to edit. So like and I'm just learning how to edit, so it's gonna take a really long time. But when it comes out, you guys are going to go crazy. So thank you so much for the support. Remember that I have a second channel, AmpPalPals, where I post what ifs on Goku in specific. And that channel is kind of going hard right now. I'm not sure how hard it's going to be going when I leave, though. Because I don't know if because I know I'm going to upload like a little bit on it, obviously. But like I don't know how much I'm going to upload. So once again, thanks for all the support. Once again, thanks to all my balance breakers. I'm not going to say all your names again just because... well, I have the screenshot up on screen, so there you go. But I already said it at the beginning anyway. Once again, thank you so much for the support. I cannot thank you enough. You guys are a huge support to me, a huge help to me. You have no idea. What if Naruto was betrayed? I know Grim Fireshot Gamer really wants that to return. I really, really, really will do it. I just haven't had the time to do it because I wanted to plan out this series and the next one consecutively, and it's just really hard to do those things and read that story as well. So... once again, everyone, thank you for the support. Let's try to hit 500 to 600 likes on this video. Without further ado, Spartanic Arts, DXD.